Hi, in this video I will give you a little overview about the Matomo interface and what to expect when you navigate in the interface. So first of all, we have a row in the top here. This one where you can see the Digitalist Cloud, this is actually the websites that you have access to in your Matomo installation. So clicking here will give you a list of all the other websites. So in this case I have access to more websites that I can analyze. Let's change this back one to Digitalist Cloud. The second one is the date filter. So currently I'm looking at today's date, December the 4th. If I want to look at something else, I can just change to yesterday, for instance, and that will come up. The data for that will come up. So when I select a date and I navigate in these other reports on the left side, the date selection will follow. That's important to remember. The second thing is, like, right now I'm looking at today's date, but I can change the period of date that I want to look into to a week. So selecting a week means that if I look at the page view report that we all love, that would be data for that week that I selected. And I can go backwards in time and look at any week like that. And again, you have month, year, but you also have something called the date range. The date range in Matomo should be used a little bit carefully, because when you use a date range selection, Matomo might be slow. Not always, but it can be, particularly if you select a large date range. That is because Matomo needs to generate this report after you click in the interface. So if I want to use this date range, I first need to select one date on the left side, and then I need to select another date on the right side, and then I click apply. And that will give you the date range for the selected date. As you saw that now, it was quite quick in this installation, but if you have performance problems in your Matomo installation, this might be slow, and particularly if you have a lot of data in your website. Alright, so what you also can do is that if I select a week, I can also compare this week to the previous period. That would be, if I click that, you can see that in my report I will compare that to the previous week. So the previous period means if I select week, it will be the previous week. If I select the month, it will be the previous month, like October. I can also compare it to the previous year. So that would mean that this month, November 2023, will be compared to November 2022. In this installation I don't have data that month, so it doesn't really matter. I can also specify a custom period to compare it to. So I can actually compare the week or the month of November to something like May instead, just because I want to. Something like that, and I can compare it. Now I know I don't have any data in this installation, but you see how it works. The final one in the top here is the thing called segment. I will actually produce a new video just about segments, but just so you know, applying one of these segments, you have to create them individually, will follow you again through all these reports. I will remove the date. So now I'm looking at Swedish visitors, and if I change report, that will follow. And again, I will produce a new video about segments, because that's something you really need to understand in Matomo when you use it. Alright, so that's the top menu items. One thing I always do when I get into a new Matomo installation is that I actually go into settings to adjust my own account. So I click on this little cogwheel up here, and then I go to personal, and then I go to setting. And one thing I always recommend everyone to do is to run Matomo in English. I know it can be convenient to run it in your own local language, but really, please run English, because all the training material, every time you want to Google and find something about a system, not just Matomo, there will be so much more results if you search for page view report in Matomo or something local in Swedish or whatever other language you might be interested in. So it's just an encouragement to run it in English. The other settings you can change here is like what website do you want to have as your default? So default meaning if I click on the Matomo logo up here, what website will I be shown? So in this case, I'm displaying the Matomo Cloud instance. And I can also select if I want to look at today's data or yesterday's data, or what type of period I want to have as my default. So in this case, today's data, I want the Matomo Cloud, I want it in English. If I want to change something, of course I click save, but then clicking on the logo will take me to the Matomo Cloud with today's data and English. Alright, so the final part of this introduction video will be about the menus on the left, because they might differ depending on what Matomo installation you have, but also depending on what permissions you have in your Matomo installation. So in this case, we have a lot of plugins installed in our Matomo Cloud instance, but the default is actually pretty short. If you don't have plugins, you will not see anything under goals here. So that's important to understand. Also, in this case, I have a lot of permissions. So if I click, for instance, the custom report, I can see the menu manage reports. That is because I have permissions to actually add reports, and then I see the reports that are created. Alright, that's it for today. I hope you will subscribe to this channel to learn more about Matomo, and wish you all a good day. Thank you.